Welcome to the Start Sit Show Rewinders on the Dynasty Rewind. I'm the Birdman, Chris Lemke. You can find me at clemke007_FF. We're here for Week 9's action. Throw your Start Sit questions in the comment section, in the chat. Otherwise, after the stream, you can still squeeze in some down in the comments. We're ready for Week 9 here. Lots of great action. We've got Mahomes versus Allen in the late game at 4:25. For the 1 o'clock games, though, I want to start off with the Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Chicago Bears today. Joe Flacco going to give it a go. He's got an AC sprain in his throwing shoulder, but according to Jamar Chase, there's no issues with that shoulder as far as what he saw in the pass attempts to Chase in the practice session. So nothing to worry about there for Flacco. He is questionable, though, but thank God we do not have Jake Browning throwing them the ball. All right. So over to the Bears, big news there is DeAndre Swift is out with a groin injury, so Kyle Monangai gets the start. And also note that Rashawn Johnson is out, and that means that Travis Homer will be the RB2 if you need a desperation flex. This is a matchup with a high 51.5 over/under. The Bears are favored by 3. Cincinnati defense here, though, giving up 32 points a game. That ranks 32nd in the league. Yes, that's last in the league. And the Chicago offense, sort of middle of the road here. But if you remember back in Detroit, this is about the time of the season, the first year with Ben Johnson and Jared Goff, Dan Campbell, that the offense started to take off. So this is the time for Caleb Williams to start to get rolling here if he's ever going to get it. All right, so fire up your Bears. This is as good of a matchup as you're going to get. Make sure Rome Odunze, of course, is in there. Get DJ Moore in there in your flex if you need him. There's some bye weeks here, so you could need DJ Moore, but definitely play Kyle Monangai if you can. If you can need to squeeze him in there. As for the Bengals with Flacco going, that's good news for Chase Brown. Of course, Jamar Chase getting 19 targets last week. I don't know if I expect that many again this week. T. Higgins only had 2 targets last week, but did catch a 44-yard touchdown. So expect the Bengals offense, at least passing offense, to flourish if Flacco is in there. Again, hopefully his arm can hold up, and we will see some fireworks in this one. Trey Hendrickson is doubtful with a hip injury. We'll see here. We should start to get some of the inactives rolling in here shortly. It's now just after 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, so 90 minutes before game time is when they start to roll in. Fire up your players in this one. Should be an exciting game. Next over, we'll stay in the NFC North here. Another game with a high over under 48.5. This is the Vikings traveling to the Motor City, taking on the Lions. Lions favored by 8.5. And of course, this one is the return of J.J. McCarthy from his ankle injury. Carson Wentz went to IR. We heard news that he played with a number of injuries over the last few weeks. And Vikings now will turn it over to J.J. McCarthy. Now, McCarthy started off the season kind of rough. Only had maybe one good quarter there against the Bears on Monday Night Football, Week 1, if you remember. He brought them back against Caleb Williams and those Bears. Now it's McCarthy's time to shine. There's no waiting period here. I know he only had two 2 games, but yeah, it's time to get rolling here for McCarthy. I wouldn't be afraid to start Jefferson at all, of course. Start Addison, Hawkinson, somewhat of a revenge game here against the Lions. He's been doing it multiple times already. As for the backfield for the Vikings, Aaron Jones is a flex. Jordan Mason, very much a desperation flex now, I think. I didn't get much run last week with Aaron Jones returning. So Jordan Mason is more of a wait and see now type guy. This could be a high scoring game. So yeah, Mason could end up falling into the end zone, but expect Aaron Jones to get to the majority of the work. As for the Lions, simply stated, just play everybody. Brian Flores is struggling with the defense on the Minnesota side of the ball, and Goff, Amon-Ra, Jamo, time for him to break out. Laporta, and of course Gibbs and Monty. You can fire both of them up as well. All right, we've got one question here from Arian. Welcome, Arian. Thank you for joining the rewind here. Pick 3 to start: Woody, Tyron Tracy, Kamara, and Kareem Hunt. All right. Well, let's see. So I think that Tyron Tracy, we'll get into the Giants game shortly here. Tracy's going to assume basically the Scadabo workload with Scadabo's unfortunate injury. Tyron Tracy, of course, taking over the backfield for the New York Giants, whose offense has definitely improved since Jackson Dart took over. I expect the play calling to remain pretty similar to what it was last week. So expect Tracy to get about 15 to 20 or more touches. You've got Devin Singletary there now as the RB2, but I wouldn't worry much about him stealing touches. And Kareem Hunt and the Chiefs go up against the Bills, who happen to be the second worst against the run this year. I don't know if you knew that, but and then we have Ed Oliver out as well, so that bodes well for the Chiefs' rush attack. Now, when we talk Kansas City, Buffalo, this is obviously one of the bigger games of the year, and with such promise and everything, I just see Andy Reid sticking to his main playmakers. That means forcing the ball to Rashee Rice, Kelsey, and Xavier Worthy. I wouldn't be shocked if Patrick Mahomes throws it 50 times today and goes totally against the script. Even though the Bills are number 2 against the pass and second worst against the rush, I don't know that Reid's going to trust the run game. And so you could see him maybe try it early, but I just think back to like Belichick and his days with Brady, and he'd come out against the Colts and throw it 29 straight times. I have a feeling, but again, if I have to choose Hunt over Woody or Kamara, I'm definitely going with Kareem Hunt here. He could easily fall into the end zone 1 or 2 times in what could be a very high scoring game with the Chiefs Bills. That said, when you come down to Woody Marks and Alvin Kamara, so Kamara is banged up, all right? So who knows how much he'll play. They're traveling. They're on the road against the Rams. Devin Neal looking to get some action today. Of course, Kendre Miller out for the season with a knee injury. I just don't see Kamara even with a chance really to get in the end zone. So I'm going to lean Woody Marks here. So I would go Tracy, Hunt, and then Woody Marks here. Woody, of course, going up against the Denver D in what is the lowest over-under of the week at 40. Maybe it's 40.5 now. But at least the Houston offense can move the ball better than the New Orleans offense. I don't know. New Orleans has Tyler Shough taking over today. You also have Jordan Mason. Yeah, and I mentioned Mason against the Lions. I don't love his opportunity share, at least what they showed last week with Mason. So I'd shy away from him. I'm gonna say bench Mason and Kamara and go with Woody. Keep Tracy and Hunt in there as well. So that's how I'm leaning with Kamara. Kamara seems like he's just ready to ride off into the sunset. I don't see much motivation for him, nor do the Saints have a whole lot of motivation to play Kamara. Like, how much really is Alvin Kamara part of their future plans here, right? If I'm the Saints, I'm looking to try and give Devin Neal some run and see what he's got, so that I know if I have to go out and get another running back in the off season. So yeah, I'm gonna lead Woody, Tracy, and Hunt for you there, Arian. Good question. It's a tough one, but maybe you've got some guys on bye. I don't know how your roster construction is set up on that team, but also have Alec Pierce or Harvey to swap with any. Oh, okay. Well, is it a full PPR, half PPR? I guess it doesn't really matter much for Alec Pierce because he just gets deep passes. Now, a week or two ago, he did have he had like a 10-target game. The thing with Alec Pierce is the guy that gets on the field and he plays a lot, right? I would almost go with full PPR. Okay. Let me look at my notes for that one. Indy at Pittsburgh. Oof. I don't know. I don't love Woody Marks, but I'm almost going to say just go with Alec Pierce in this one, because that Indy Pittsburgh game should be more fireworks than you would think. And so Alec Pierce seems to be the guy that gets forgotten about in that Indy offense. We've got Jonathan Taylor and then Michael Pittman. You've got Josh Downs, Daniel Jones playing at an MVP level right now. I don't know. I'm very tempted to start Alec Pierce over Woody and go Pierce, Tracy, and Hunt in this one. Harvey, of course, had a big week against the Cowboys last week, but still had minimal touches. He got the touchdowns there, but that's not necessarily sustainable. Again, I don't love this Houston-Denver matchup for many fantasy guys at all. Like Nico, I would start in that one because Surtain is out. I mean, I'd probably be starting Nico no matter what anyway. But other than that, like, I'm struggling to start Bo Nix in one of my leagues. I've got a debate between Bo Nix and Caleb Williams that I'm heavily leaning towards Caleb Williams right now just because of the atmosphere in that game. So, Arian, I'm going to tell you go with Alec Pierce, Tyron Tracy, and Kareem Hunt. There you go. All right. You can come back at me later in the Sunday Rewind. We will be back tonight after today's games, right before the Sunday night game, which is Seattle visiting Washington and the Commanders in Jaden Daniels' return from injury. Should be a good one tonight. But yeah, I'll do a recap of Sunday's early and midday games at around 7:30 tonight for you. Yeah, God, I really want to say just start RJ Harvey, but this is a bad matchup against that Houston defense. This is one of those games that could be like 13-10. I don't see the script getting flipped in that one, and all of a sudden there being fireworks and tons of points in that Denver-Houston matchup, which is what Harvey needs, that kind of atmosphere to blow up, which he had last week against the Cowboys. Doesn't have that this week. Expect the Broncos to just try and pound it with J.K. Dobbins and see what they can get there. Again, I expect like a 13-10 type battle there in down in Houston against the Broncos. All right. So we talked the Bears, Bengals. We talked the Vikings, Lions. Now let's move over to the other NFC North team, and that's the Packers. They're hosting the Carolina Panthers this week, and they're favored by 13.5 with a 44.5 over under. Bryce Young returns. He's healthy, and Coach Dave Canales has said that he expects to give, or he will try to give, Rico Dowdle more opportunities this week, as he has definitely outperformed Chuba Hubbard since Chuba returned from his injury, and following those two big 200-yard performances from Rico Dowdle. Dowdle has continued to still play well, so I would definitely be starting Rico. Chuba, more of a desperation flex in this one. Josh Jacobs will play. Jaden Reed is still out for the Packers with that collarbone injury. And then Emmanuel Wilson, the RB2 for the Packers, is sort of a desperation flex you could throw in there, hoping for some yardage in the fourth quarter, as the Packers may try to rest Josh Jacobs if this one turns into the blowout that the odds suggest. All right. Next up, we've got the Chargers visiting the Titans. And this one has a over-under of 44 points. Chargers favored by 9.5. Omarion Hampton still out with that ankle injury. Don't expect him back till like week 12 or 13. So that means Kamani Vidal remains an absolute must start for the Chargers. He's been blowing up the last few weeks in Hampton's absence, and don't expect that to change at all. Calvin Ridley is out with his hamstring injury. That's expected. They have a bye week next week, so no surprise that they're going to rest Ridley one more week and give the young guys some more opportunity with Cam Ward, Chimere Dike, Alec Manor. They're both flex options if you need them. Spears is a more solid play than Tony Pollard at this point. I think it's become obvious that he has much more burst than Pollard at this point in their careers. So Spears, I'm pretty confident in playing in the flex spot or your RB2 spot if you need it with buys. As for the Titans defense, Jeffrey Simmons is out with a hamstring, so that doesn't help. That means fire up all of your Chargers, Justin Herbert, Vidal, all the receivers. You don't know which one's going to hit, but when they do hit, they hit in a big way. This is one where the Chargers are going to probably put up more than 30 points. So we don't know for sure which one is going to get in the end zone, but you got to have them in there and hope that that's the right one, that the wheel lands on them this week. So whether it's Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, Oronde Gadsden, or Quentin Johnston, they're all healthy this week. So I don't have a problem throwing Quentin Johnston. I know he has kind of taken a backseat to Oronde Gadsden over the last couple of weeks, but who knows? This could be Quentin Johnston's week back, and he gets in the end zone, so I don't mind flexing him as well either. Ladd, though, definitely start. Keenan Allen, you can definitely start as well. I feel confident there. And then, man, Oronde Gadsden, I feel really good about. A couple of weeks ago on the start sit, I wanted to, talk up Gadsden, and now he has just exploded. I mean, literally, if you look at his keep trade cut value over the last couple of weeks, he has risen from like being worth a third to a second in a matter of a couple of days, and now he's worth a first or more, depending on your tight end premium in your leagues. So Gadsden has just reached must start status. Whether you already have a good tight end and now Gadsden is just a second guy, like you already have McBride, well, flex Gadsden, get him in the lineup. He's become an enormous contributor there. Now, could this be the week where he comes back down to earth and only has 2 catches for 30 yards? Sure. But I'm saying over the next month, I still expect Gadsden to put up big numbers. This offense is just exploding with the Chargers. I want all pieces in this lineup at all times. All right. Next matchup, we've got the Falcons traveling to New England. New England favored by 5. It's 45 over under. Ramondre Stevenson is out. That means it is Travion Henderson time finally, right? Finally. Yes. Unless Terrell Jennings, the new RB2, has something to say about it with the Patriots. But I'm saying fire up Travion. If it doesn't happen this week, I don't know when it's going to happen. The Atlanta defense is sneaky solid, okay? So don't be too disappointed if Henderson maybe doesn't get into the end zone. But I think that Henderson's volume this week should be there for you. You can solidly start him as an RB2. This is the week, right? This is the week, everybody. Okay. Drake London is going to play, but he gets the Christian Gonzalez matchup with the Patriots, so could be a rough one there. Michael Penix is in. He will play, so no more Kirk Cousins there. And then as for the Patriots receivers, you can start Diggs. Kayshon Boutte, though, has been one of the top 15 wide receivers over the last couple of weeks. He's on a 3-game touchdown streak here, so definitely fire up Boutte. And then my guy, Hunter Henry. Yeah, if you need a tight end, there's nobody better to plug in than Hunter Henry at all times. Drake May remains absolute must-start status for sure. Moving along down the coast to New York and the Giants, they host the San Francisco 49ers this week. Brock Purdy's still out with that toe injury, so that means Mac Jones is in, and it'll be the Kendrick Bourne show. Maybe. We'll see. Didn't happen last week, but I think that Kendrick Bourne is due back for a decent game. Juwan Jennings is in. George Kittle is back. Definitely play him. And then, of course, Christian McCaffrey, you're going to play him. As for the Giants, I already mentioned Tyron Tracy. He should be almost must-start status. He's going to get the volume. The Giants' offense is performing well. Niners' defense has tons of injuries everywhere, so they're not as scary as they used to be. So this one could get high scoring. It is at 48.5, the over-under. Niners are favored by 2.5. We've got, let's see, other than that Scattaboo injury, Daniel Bellinger is doubtful with a neck injury, so Theo Johnson's a decent flyer at tight end for you. Fire up Wan'Dale Robinson as your wide receiver 3 or flex if you need to. And then Darius Slayton is a sneaky flyer at flex. He got 5 targets last week. He seems to be the next guy up. And if they're going to go deep, it's Darius Slayton as the guy. Will Galvez in here in the chat. Thanks for joining, Will. You're asking Monty or Hunt. Oof. That's a tough one. Both have good environments in this one. I'm going to slightly lean Kareem Hunt in this one. I think that when it comes down to the goal line, at least, with Pacheco out, I don't know that Brashard Smith is going to steal goal line carries from Hunt. I would expect between Detroit and Kansas City's offenses, they'll both get similar amount of red zone opportunities. This is a wild one with the Vikings-Lions matchup where I could see the Lions scoring, Jamison Williams breaking back into the fold here, getting a deep one. So I don't know. I like both options, honestly, Will. I don't think you can go wrong this week. They both have great matchups. So, but yeah, I'm leaning Kareem Hunt slightly here, but don't blame me if you want to go Monty either. Maybe if you have a lesser option at wide receiver in your flex, maybe you want to flex one of those guys. I don't know. But I would slightly lean Kareem Hunt here. The Bills' rush defense is just depleted right now. They're giving up like 150 yards on the ground, just 169 through the air. So again, I feel like Andy Reid might try to throw like go against the grain here. But then at the same time, Kareem Hunt last year, twice against the Bills, both times went over 60 yards, got in the end zone in one of those games. And that second game, Pacheco was back. Now, we know Pacheco last year, even when he came back, he was still pretty banged up. So it still was kind of Kareem Hunt's backfield. And it's kind of evolved into that again this year. And so I love Rashard Smith, but I don't know, this game script, it could go either way. But I do like Kareem Hunt a lot this week. All right. Next up, we'll travel over to Pittsburgh, where we've got the high-flying Indianapolis Colts traveling to see the Steelers. This one has a 51 over-under. Again, why I like Alec Pierce in this matchup. Indianapolis, a 3.5-point favorite. No major injuries for either teams here. Indy at 33.8 points per game. They're tops in the league with that. Pittsburgh's at 25 a game. They're 12th in the league. Indy's allowing just 19 a game, 6th in the league. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, allowing 25 a game, which is 22nd in the league. Indy is 3rd in yards per game, while Pittsburgh is only 27th. So I think that the Steelers are going to have a tough time hanging with the Colts in this one. I think they'll get the play-action game going, and that's why I see Alec Pierce as a decent flyer in your flex. As for the Colts, yeah, just start everyone. JT, Daniel Jones, Pittman, Tyler Warren, and then Josh Downs and Alec Pierce are both good flyers in your flex spots this week. As for the Steelers, you start in Jaylen Warren for sure. He's going to get plenty of volume. DK you'll start because he'll get the targets, and Aaron Rodgers in any two quarterback formats. I like him this week. Whether if they get down, Rodgers will have to throw more. Warren will still get dump off passes. Otherwise, if the Steelers are hanging with them, that means that Rodgers is probably playing decent at least and getting a touchdown or two. Again, as your quarterback too, he's a decent start there. All right. Of course, any questions, go ahead, just leave them in the chat. I'll try to get to them as soon as I can while I'm going through our matchups for this Sunday afternoon coming up. And next up, we're still on the 1 o'clock games. We're going to that ugly one down in Houston. Should be a good game. I mean, they're both very good teams. It's just that the defenses are going to dominate this one. Even with Patrick Surtain out, the Cowboys were only able to put up 22 points against this Denver D. I don't see the Texans offense being any better at all than the Cowboys offense. So even with Stroud playing well last week, he went over 300 yards, spread it out to his young wide receivers with Nico and Christian Kirk missing last week. Now they'll both be back this week. So I would play Nico Collins, being that Surtain is out. He's not going to have as rough of a day there, but you've got Christian Kirk. He's back. He's in. Dalton Schultz right now is questionable with a knee, so we'll see if he is good to go. Don't have an update quite yet on Dalton Schultz. But yes, this game, points allowed. Denver is 5th in the league at 18.9 a game, and Houston is number 1 at 14.7. So that's why I leaned away from RJ Harvey there, Arian, with your question. As for rushing yards a game, Denver is at 138. That's 3rd in the league. Houston at 113. They're 17th in the league at that. Now, sacks. Denver is number 1 in the league with 36 sacks this year. Houston just 16 sacks, but they still get plenty of pressure on the quarterback. So that scares me a little for Bo Nix today, but Bo Nix has shown himself to be pretty savvy regardless of the matchups. I think back to the Eagles game, he was able to lead them back from behind. Then you look at the Giants game, he was also able to do that. So Bo Nix just kind of loving to pull a rabbit out of his hat here. I don't know, man. Again, this one just screams 13-10. And so I'm trying to fade all offensive options in this one fantasy-wise, if possible. So there we have it. Those are the 1 o'clock games. Now we'll get to the game of the day. Kansas City at Buffalo. You're playing Mahomes. You're playing Josh Allen, regardless of matchups. I don't care how good these defenses are against the pass. You still have to play these guys. Again, Andy Reid loves to write his own script. I know the Bills are good against the pass. They'll probably try Kareem Hunt early, but when it comes down to it, Patrick Mahomes, I'm still going to bet on him being able to put up some numbers. Now, Isaiah Pacheco is out. The Chiefs have their bye week 10. So they're going to roll with Kareem Hunt as the one. Then expect Brashard Smith to get a decent amount of snaps in this one. If this script gets ugly, you could see him get a lot of snaps in this second half and maybe have his breakout performance. So he could be a good desperation flex play for you if you've got him. Again, the Bills, they give up 150 yards rushing per game. That is 31st in the league, and Ed Oliver is out. So Kareem Hunt does have a good opportunity here. James Cook, fire him up for sure. As for the Bills wide receivers, I kind of lean away from them. Dalton Kincaid, if you have to play him, of course you do. But for their receivers with Keon Coleman, I could see him getting some jump ball opportunities in the end zone maybe. So if you've got to fire him up as a desperation flex, go ahead. Khalil Shakir should be a solid flex. He is that slot guy underneath type. So I expect him to get his normal 6 to 7 targets at least this week. As for the Chiefs wide receivers, of course, you're playing Rashee Rice. You're playing Kelsey. You're playing Xavier Worthy. They're going to try and get him the ball to make a difference in this one for sure. I think this game could go either way. Probably come down to who has the ball last. Honestly, it's always a good matchup, so I think we're all looking forward to it, regardless of how you feel about one team or the other. We like to watch good football, right? And what's better than Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, right? All right. Hopefully the whistles and the refs don't ruin this one for us. All right. There are 2 other late Sunday games. I don't know how many people will be watching them, but they are going to play them. First off, we've got the Jags traveling to Vegas and taking on the Raiders. This one has Jacksonville favored by 2.5 with a 44 over under. And Travis Hunter, of course, unfortunately, is out suffering a knee injury, non-contact knee injury in practice earlier this week. And then on Friday, the Jags put him on IR. So what does that mean? Well, that means that Parker Washington gets a bump. Brian Thomas, yes, you can say he'll get a bump, but the way things have been going so far this year, I don't know that I expect him to all of a sudden get 10 targets, right? Parker Washington has looked good at times this season, and now he should get increased opportunities underneath, maybe steal some of those Travis Hunter underneath routes that he had been getting. But prior to that, Parker Washington had been getting. So now Parker Washington will go back to getting them. So desperation flex. I like Parker Washington. Fire him up. Diami Brown even becomes in play. Maybe more of a best ball type flyer. But anyway, over to the ground games. We've got Travis Etienne and Bashul Tutin looking at a potential really good game script here if the Jags and Trevor Lawrence actually figure it out on offense and take advantage of the weaker Raiders team. we could see Travis Etienne bust out back to his early season form in this one, or maybe Bishul Tootin. This is his breakout game. But either of them, I like playing. Definitely in the flex. Travis Etienne, I'm sure most had been relying on as their like RB2 on this season. Go ahead and play him. It's the Raiders. Got to have him in there. Ashton Genty should get plenty of volume here this game. I would go ahead and fire him up for sure. Even though the Jags are 6th against the rush, I think there'll be plenty of volume here. So Genty should get some nice dump off looks from Geno Smith. If Geno can hang on to his job, we'll see. Now, Brock Bowers returning this week. Go ahead, fire him up. If you've got Bowers and you've been sitting on him, you play him, right? There's no, you start your studs like this. I don't get too fancy with things. Maybe you have been playing Jake Ferguson, okay, and then you want to play Ferguson, but I would be flexing the other one at least. They both have great opportunity to have big games this week. I'm not going to sit either of those two. Brock Bowers, we're talking the Raiders here. Start Bowers. Jacoby Myers, on the other hand, yeah, as a flex, sure, play him, but I don't know. Not too excited over that. Trey Tucker, another nice flex play. He could get deep against this Jags pass defense. It's only ranked 27th against the pass. So, and now you're missing Travis Hunter for sure. I don't know how much defense Hunter was going to actually play, but, now that he's out for sure, go ahead and fire up Trey Tucker as well. All right. And then we got the last one, 4:00 game, New Orleans visiting the Rams in Los Angeles. This one has a 44 over under. 14-point favorites are the Rams. Tyler Shook getting the start in this one. If you've got to play him, I guess you can as you quarterback too. Again, Tyler Shook got thrown in the third quarter last week. Hadn't practiced with the ones since preseason, and he didn't look terrible. 17 of 30, 300 yards, did throw one interception, but now with a full week of practice, I think that he may look better. All right. He's at least going to throw the ball a lot. I know that. Alvin Kamara, not a great start here. As I told Arian, I would have even Alec Pierce in ahead of Kamara for this week. So go with that. As for the other players with the Saints, go ahead and start Chris Olave. He's going to get plenty of those Tyler Shook targets. Devin Neal, he'd be more of a real desperation flex. And then watch Rashid Shaheed. I know some of you probably have him in your lineups, but he is questionable with a hip injury, so we don't know for sure if he's going to give it a go or not. Over on the Rams side of the ball, just start them all. All right, it's the Saints. There's no reason to overthink this. Puka, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, Matthew Stafford, get them all into your lineup. Don't think twice about it. All right, we've got Marco from the future, back to the future here on the Rewind with Marco. Good evening from across the pond. Rank these players to pick up dynasty-wise. Jalen Hyatt, John Mechie, Treylon Burks, or Mumfield. Whew. All right. Well, John Mechie just went to oh my gosh. He just got traded to, is it the Jets? Let me look at that. I just want to make sure. I believe it was. Yes. Okay. Just wanted to make sure on that. So Mechie went to the Jets from the Eagles because they flipped cornerback Michael Carter. I know it's pretty hard, but it's very deep league. Understood. I'm in deep leagues too. I get it. Jalen Hyatt, knowing the offense already, I would lean slightly towards him, but Mechie's going to have an opportunity here. I just the Jets offense is so bad. Yes, Garrett Wilson is out, but it's a bye week, and I think that Garrett Wilson will probably be back next week, leaving limited targets for Mechie. And then you've got Treylon Burks, who I don't even know if is Treylon Burks. Let me just double check. Mumfield, I don't mind, but he's okay. That's right. The Commanders signed Burks. Okay. See, Burks, the problem with him is he's basically behind Deebo Samuel in what kind of role he has. So I'm going to go Hyatt, then Mechie, then Mumfield, then Burks. I think that Burks is just someone who we've already seen that he can't do it. Okay, now he's just bouncing around teams and their practice squads, and I'm not going to buy into it. Mumfield, at least he's gotten on the field for the Rams in limited opportunity, but when and if one of those guys gets hurt, I'm talking Adams or Puka, Mumfield will get into the lineup on a good passing team, like a good passing volume team, good offense. The Rams are solid there. So I'm going to go Hyatt, Mechie, Mumfield, Burks. There you go, Marco. Hopefully that works out for you on your late Sunday editions here for your deep dive dynasty roster. Yes. Awesome question. Love those kind of questions because those really make you think. It's a lot easier when you're talking David Montgomery or Kareem Hunt, right? You know what those guys are, right? These are four guys who we don't really know, right? Jalen Hyatt has that potential to be something, right? And that something is taking over for Darius Slate. That's what we hope for Jalen Hyatt. And if he does, like the sky is the limit for this Giants offense. And even starting this week, right? Because without Malik Neighbors, like the door is wide open for everybody. We know what the role is for Wan'Dale Robinson, but everybody else, it's wide open. Now this week, Theo Johnson gets an opportunity because Bellinger's probably out. But at the same time, you've got Slayton, who had 5 targets last week. You got Jalen Hyatt there, right? And Jackson Dart likes to push the ball down the field. So he's going to play aggressive. Dable is not going to hold things back here. He's trying to keep his job. The only way he keeps his job is by Jackson Dart performing well and showing hope going into next season. So that gives Jalen Hyatt a good opportunity. And so, yeah, that's why I put him at the top of that list. All right. Well, if that's all we've got, I don't know. I'm going to hang out here and wait, see if anybody else has. I'm going to give you another 10 minutes or so. If you've got any other start-sit questions, go ahead, throw them down in there. That's what I'm here for. I'm going to talk some other games. We do have the Seattle-Washington game tonight. And then tomorrow evening, we've got the why can't I think of it? Tomorrow evening is the Arizona-Dallas. Yeah. Arizona-Dallas, that one's real simple. Just play everybody, okay? There's no defense. Kyler Murray's sitting, which means actually better for the Arizona offense. I like Marvin Harrison much better with Jacoby Brissett at the helm. Will Cooper Kupp play this week? Good question. I would lean towards not, okay? That's just my gut feeling. He's older. He's probably going to sit it out. That means that Torrey Horton and Elijah Arroyo may get more opportunities underneath. So desperation flex opportunities there. If you have Cooper Kupp, you may want to scoop one of those up. I'm talking redraft. But yeah, we could finally see something from Elijah Arroyo this week. I know that AJ Barner has been playing really well at tight end there, so that's sort of stunted Elijah Arroyo's growth. But I think this might be a week where we could see Elijah Arroyo get a little more work. The Washington rush defense is not exactly great, but again, we've been seeing this back and forth with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. That's just gross, especially if you're a Kenneth Walker owner like I am in a few leagues. It's one of the more annoying things in fantasy this year. Kenneth Walker just, still showing that good explosion, and then he gets down to the 10-yard line and boop, come on out. We're going to slam Charbonnet into the ground 4 times. Maybe he'll get into the end zone, maybe not, but that's what we're going to do. I don't get it. I don't like it. I don't get it. And hopefully Kubiak gets it if he wants. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say because the Seahawks are winning games. Okay. They're sitting, I think, at 5-2. And so they're right near the top in the NFC West. But man, it is one of the most frustrating things is being a Kenneth Walker owner right now. The Seattle offense is run through JSN, right? So Cooper Kupp, if he does play, I don't know how much he's going to really do anyway. So I'm not banking on that. I think there's got to be other options out there if you're sitting on Cooper Kupp. So don't bank on him playing. That's how I would look at it. If you've got somebody in one of the earlier games that you're thinking of starting, I would probably fire them up, especially if they're in one of those games that's got a good game environment. There's a lot of games today and tomorrow night with good game environments. You've got the Chiefs Bills, you've got the Bengals Bears, you've got the Vikings Lions. The Seattle Washington one is at 48. But again, I don't know about Cooper Kupp. Arizona, Dallas, of course, play everybody. All right. So lots of games with opportunities for fireworks. So I'd kind of lean away from Cooper Kupp and watch Elijah Arroyo, watch Torrey Horton, see how they are used tonight, especially if Cooper Kupp is out, because they're the future for that team. Jared Patterson, Travis Homer, Zamir White, or McLaughlin. Pick up another one for a deep league. Oh man, Marco, you are just having fun with me here now. So Jared Patterson with the Chargers, Travis Homer, RB2, Zamir White, Gross, and McLaughlin. I would go Travis Homer. Start with him, as he is the current healthy RB2 for the Bears. You don't know. I mean, Monangai could easily get hurt today. Jared Patterson is the RB3 for the Chargers. I believe Hassan Haskins is back this week. So I would lean Homer 1, Patterson 2, McLaughlin 3, and then Zamir White. Zamir White is just gross. It's the Raiders. He's behind Raheem Mostert. Okay, so that puts Zamir White at the bottom for me. McLaughlin is a player who I've loved, Sean Payton's loved, but as long as Dobbins and Harvey are healthy, McLaughlin is not getting any work, unfortunately. All right, and then you have Tyler Batty, who's beating him out. So, yeah, McLaughlin, unfortunately, is stuck between a rock and a hard place there. So I'm going to lean Homer, Patterson, McLaughlin, Zamir White. There you go, Marco. Got any other brain busters for me? I love it. Hit me up. Now tonight, of course, around 7:30, somewhere near the end of the Bills-Chiefs game, we will fire up the Sunday Rewind, give you a recap of all of today's action, get you fired up for the Seahawks Commanders this evening, as well as the Cardinals traveling to Jerry World tomorrow evening, where we get to see the Dak Prescott show. Hopefully. This is one of those games where I'm crossing my fingers that Dak just doesn't turn into a pumpkin because it's Halloween. So, yeah, I'm confident, though. Dak and the Cowboys have looked pretty solid against the weaker opponents this year. So I'm gonna go forward with all the Cowboys. Fire them all up. Yes. Probably not as hard as the other two. Yes. Yeah. This one again, Marco. Homer's gonna get some touches today. Like they're not. Kyle Monangai is not getting 30 touches. Travis Homer is a dude who, he played in Seattle. He came over with Shane Waldron, of all people, from Seattle to Chicago, and then, just worked his way in as a special teamer, and that's what's gotten him to hang on in the NFL. It's what got Rico Dowdle to hang on in the NFL as a special teamer with the Cowboys. And then he got his opportunity last season, took advantage of it, went over to Carolina this year because they didn't want to pay him. And now he's exploded onto the scene, and he's going to start today. They just announced over Chuba, as expected. And we'll see what Rico can pull off today. I don't know. I'm starting Rico in the leagues I have him. I'm not afraid there. And Chuba Hubbard, yeah, he's gonna have to show it. I know he's got the contract, but these NFL teams, like Dave Canales, needs to win ball games. They're sitting at 4-3, 4-4 now. They've got an opportunity to sneak somehow into the playoffs here. Playoffs? Are we really talking playoffs with the Carolina Panthers? I don't know. The AFC South, you got New Orleans on the bottom there, and Atlanta hasn't looked like world beaters. They've looked really good certain weeks, like they did against the Vikings on Sunday Night Football, and then they've looked like trash, and then they had to throw Kirk Cousins in. Like, I don't know what's going on there in Atlanta. They've got the RB1 in Dynasty, and I don't know if you call him RB1 in redraft because Jonathan Taylor's just a beast, but Bijan's definitely top 5 there in redraft. So regardless, I don't know what to think of the Falcons. So that is leaving the door open for the Panthers to at least, finish second in the division to the Bucs. And, if you look around the NFC, we've got the Vikings kind of on a downturn. The Bears still trying to figure things out if we're talking wild cards. So you've got Philly in the East, you've got the Bucs in the South, you've got the Packers Lions battling it out in the North. And then in the West, you've got 3 teams battling it out. So Carolina's got to go on a run. That means they got to play their best guys. And if they want their best opportunity to pull off an upset against the Packers today, that means getting Rico Dowdle some work, getting him the ball, opening things up for Tet McMillan, right? Jalen Coker's back. That offense has weapons, okay? They do. And so if Bryce Young actually is going to take that step that most of us don't really believe he can, but the possibility is there. If he's going to take that step, it's going to mean Rico Dowdle getting a healthy dose of opportunities and opening things up for Bryce Young in the pass game. Now, let's talk the Chiefs-Bills. How is that matchup actually going to play out? All right. I think, as I said earlier, it'll really just come down to who has the ball last, because these offenses, once they get rolling, it really doesn't matter who the defenses are. I know you can look at the numbers and see that they're both good against the pass, and the Bills on their side terrible against the run. But, once they get going, again, I'm playing Kareem Hunt. I am firing up all the main weapons on the Chiefs. I'm not going to play this one scared. I'm not afraid to play Keon Coleman. Definitely playing Shakir. You got to play Kincaid if he's your main tight end. So just play everybody. Enjoy the game. It's going to be a fun one. Marco, another one. Too many on bye or injured, so I have to start Homer, Brian Robinson, Whittington, or Emmanuel Wilson. Sit one. Okay. Niners are at the Giants. Travis Homer at the Bengals. And Whittington home against the Saints. I like Emmanuel Wilson because I think there's a good chance that they grind the clock out with him if they're up. And even if not, like Jacobs has been banged up. They've been working Emmanuel Wilson in a lot more. All right. So I like Wilson. You're sitting one, man. Homer's somebody who could sneakily get going here. So I would play him. Then it comes down to Brian Robinson or Whittington. You're really taking a flyer on Whittington, but man, like I said earlier, start all of your Rams. Just throw Whittington. I guess I would. I know this seems crazy because he's the most well-known name of them all. But sit Brian Robinson. Am I talking myself into saying to sit Brian Robinson here? Yeah, I am. So go Homer, Whittington, and Emmanuel Wilson, Marco. There you go. All right. Something I did not coming into this stream expecting to say, but start Alec Pierce, sit Brian Robinson. Not sure if you saw, or I missed your answer to the other question with Diggs, the only smaller league I've got. I didn't see question with Diggs. Could you repeat the question with Diggs? I don't see it up here on the stream, Marco, but I'd be happy to answer it. Yeah, I don't see a question about Stephon Diggs here. So the New England pass offense is one that's tough to gauge. As I said earlier when I talked that game, Butte has been really tearing it up over the last 3 games, 4 touchdowns over the last 3 weeks, a touchdown every game at least. So I'm confident there. I think Diggs still should be in line for a good target share. They're taking on, I forget off the top of my head. New England is playing Atlanta, that is. Yes. So I don't mind Stephon Diggs. I mean, you got to play him if you have him. He's too good of a player to just sit in a deeper league, right? Unless you've got somebody, I don't know. I'm just waiting for you to come out with, Marco, who your other option would be over Stephon Diggs. But in general speaking, I like Diggs going forward because Drake May is on a very good trajectory this season. I mean, he is arguably ahead of Jaden Daniels now, dynasty rankings wise. You could have him 3rd or 4th, right behind Allen and Lamar. You could have Drake May there at 3, and it's hard to argue against that. You know, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, obviously right there. Patrick Mahomes now moving up with his strong performance so far this year as the QB1. But Drake May definitely making me regret trading him away for just 2 firsts this off season when I thought that his value, and when he rose up to quarterback 6 in Dynasty, I kind of was like, well, now I was in a situation where I had 4 quarterbacks, so I was able to do that. Put the question in the chat, but not sure if you can see it. Let's see here. No, I can't. Just go ahead and type it in again. I'm sorry, but I don't see it here. Yeah, the first question I see from you was that loaded wide receiver question with Jalen Hyatt, Mechie, Burks, or Mumfield, which I loved. But yeah, if you can quickly, Marco, go ahead and throw that question down in there. I'm going to check through the late injuries here. Here we go. Calvin Ridley is out. Hunter Renfrow out. Trevin Wallace in. DJ Giddens out. That doesn't matter. Abdullah's been getting the backup work there. Anyway. But yeah, Marco, no, I don't see your question about Diggs. So yeah, go ahead and throw it down if you can. If not, I'm going to end this stream in a couple minutes just because I have a couple of teams that I want to make sure on my lineups as well. Very strange. I put it like 3 times in the chat. I don't know why it's not showing up. It's weird. Did you put it in the comments before the... Start 3, here we go. Okay. Start 3, Diggs. Worthy. Dobbs. Or Pierce. Oh, okay. Or Tucker. Oh, boy. All right. So I mentioned Pierce as a desperation flex earlier. Tucker is... or Addison. Okay. Okay. So for me, I'm starting Addison and Worthy for sure. Their game script, just they're in good game environments. I want to have them in those game environments. They're going to be part of the game plan to try and make things happen with those teams. Then it really, I'm going to lean towards Diggs or Dobbs is where you have to decide here. Carolina defense is pretty solid against the pass. So I'm going to lean Diggs. And the guy from the Titans with the strain. You mean Chimere DK? Yes. Or Alec Iomanor. They both have weird names. But Chimere DK is from actually my hometown. Chat keeps censoring that. Okay. That's why. That's weird. That's weird because Chimere DK. It's Chimere. When he'd score at high school, they'd say that's ABCDK with another touchdown. But it's Chimere DK. And I love him, but I would not start him in this instance. I would go Stephon Diggs. All right. So go Xavier Worthy, Jordan Addison, and Stephon Diggs. I know that JJ McCarthy's getting his first start, but I think that he didn't start when he started early in the year. He didn't have Jordan Addison, and Addison's been playing really well lately. I gotta go with Addison for sure. So Addison, Worthy, and Diggs. Marco, thank you. That was a great question, and I'm glad that you got it in. Now we understand why it was being censored. So you just have to go ahead and type in Chimere, I guess, and know that that's how he pronounces it now. I've loved watching the other streams over the last couple of weeks and people trying to pronounce his name now that he's actually playing and doing something. Early in the year, he wasn't getting a whole lot of work, but now with Ridley getting that injury, he's really gotten a much bigger opportunity, and it's great to see Chimere finally getting that opportunity. But in your case, you've got good enough guys up top. I would stick with the main guys, Diggs, Xavier Worthy, and Addison, and roll with them this week, Marco. All right. Hopefully that works out for you. All right. Okay. With that, do we have any other questions? Go ahead, throw them down there. I'm going to hang with you as long as questions keep rolling in. So Pitts, Pierce, Knight, Dobbs, start one. Ooh, I love Bam Knight. Yeah, I'm going to go Bam Knight. You got to go with the volume. Bam Knight is going to be the back. I know that Michael Carter got cut earlier, then brought back right away. That's just a whole practice squad thing. But over the last couple of games, Bam Knight has been the one to get the work. Love that environment for the game tomorrow night. So I'm going to say Bam Knight there. Yes. Seems gross, but when you've got them, got to get them into the lineup. Make use of rostering them. Otherwise, why are you rostering Bam Knight? I mean, Trey Benson probably will be back after next week or after this week. And so either play him now or just cut him and look for somebody else, really. And if Alec Pierce catches a bomb, you can come back and get at me. But Bam Knight could score just as much, even if Pierce catches a bomb. So I think that Cardinals offense will be able to move the ball decently with Jacoby Brissett at the helm. So I'll go ahead and roll with that. Right. Yeah. Okay. We're about 23 minutes to kickoff here. If I don't have any other questions in the next minute, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. But you need a quarterback for next week since Dak will be on bye. Okay. Mac Jones, McCarthy, or Shook. Okay. Well, based on what we know of now, and that Brock Purdy was questionable and likely to possibly start this game, but not. I don't know that Mac Jones will be the starter next week, so I'm going to have to take him out first. And then when it comes down to McCarthy or Shook, well, I'm going to lean the guy with the better weapons here and the potential, and that's J.J. McCarthy. So I'm going to go J.J. McCarthy with that one over Tyler Shook. The Niners have their bye week 14, so I know they're not on bye. They have the Niners and the Rams next week. Okay. Well, Mac Jones had his breakout game against the Rams. But, yeah, I'm going to lean McCarthy. The Vikings are taking on the Ravens. Ravens, of course, looking to win. But the Ravens defense has been banged up all season. I think that, that'll be a good one. But I think the Vikings still can produce points in that one. Drop Otten for McCarthy is a keeper dynasty league. If the keeper league, I mean, either way, yeah, go McCarthy. McCarthy still has a chance to turn this ship around for this season. Yeah. I would definitely go McCarthy there in that case, Marco. All right. Any other questions? I see 51 eyeballs in here, and it's just Marco. throw in every question he's got. Marco, how many other teams you got? I'll go through them all. I'll just do a roster review for you on all of them. How about that? All right. If that's all we've got, I appreciate you all joining today. Be sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe to the Dynasty Rewind. Check me out at clemke007_FF. You got 5 teams. Okay. Well, thank you for asking about each and every one of those, Marco. I hope it works out truly for you. And I hope it works out for the rest of you out there watching. Have a fun Sunday. Enjoy the games. Watch as many games as you can. And come back in for the Sunday Rewind, where I give you the Week 9 Sunday recap tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Adios.